and welcome to Good Morning UK Have Your Say, a Force for Good's mid-morning show coming to you live from our nerve centre here in the heart of the great British city of Glasgow, with me, your host, Alistair McConaughey. And we're broadcasting today across all our platforms, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. And please do come in and tell us where you're calling from. Already, Linda is viewing from sunny southeast London. I'm glad it's sunny this morning because it was dark in southeast London last week, if I remember correctly. TC is in southwest London. It's a lovely sunny Unionist day, and it's a lovely sunny Unionist day here in the great British city of Glasgow. Good morning, Tommy, and good morning to you, Alan. Nice to see you in again, as it's nice to see James. A very good morning to you, James. And Sue from all the way there in Cornwall. Excellent stuff. It's great to have viewers from all over our great land. If you're watching, hello John, if you're watching on Facebook and if StreamYard asks you to tick yes so that you can comment, please do so. That enables us to see you also. Good stuff. And Sarah, listening from the beautiful Green Wirral. Lovely, lovely, excellent. Well, we have got a packed programme as usual. We've got our competition coming up at just before the hour. And at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock, we've got one of A Force for Good's best activists, Pauline from the Highlands. And she's going to be speaking to us for 20 minutes or so. And she's got a lot to say, especially about the carry-on that's going on at the moment in the Scottish Parliament between Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmond. So we'll be getting that off our chest. And we're also going to be sticking it to the Nats today because there's been some really good comments and articles that have come out just saying what on earth is going on with this, with the administration that misgoverns us. Okay, so we're really just going to stick it to them today because we're getting fed up with it. And we do have, hello Tracy, good morning from Sunny Hull. Lovely, lovely to see you in here, Tracy. We really do have, we need to stick it to them seriously now because the election is on the 6th of May, Thursday the 6th of May, and we need to make sure that we get them out, and if we can't get them out, we at least make it difficult for them. That is to say, they're not able to actually have a coalition between them and the Scottish Cabbage Party, which is also known as the Scottish Greens, but they're not really green at all. They don't care about the environment. The Scottish Greens, or what we prefer to call the Scottish Cabbage Party, are simply a radical Republican party that's obsessed with identity politics. They're not caring about plastic in the ocean. They're not caring even about keeping the streets clean. You know, we have a Green councillor here in the area of Glasgow where our office is located, and you know, what's he doing to actually beautify the place? We've never heard of him. So the Greens are just like cabbages, basically, and we shouldn't be voting for them thinking that they're going to do anything for the environment. And this is a big failing, actually. You know, a lot of people will go, I gave my second vote to the Greens because, you know, I like rabbits or something like that. It's like, we all like rabbits, you know. That doesn't mean that you want to mess up your country because of it. Hello to Nelson and all fellow Brits. Well, that's everybody that's watching today. Brian sends a flag, and Sarah says what many of us are thinking is one slippery eel killing Scotland. Stay strong and let's get rid of her. And Vic from Irvine, Newtown. Richard, Scottish Cabbage Party led by the Flower Pot Man. Yes, he is like a flower pot man, isn't he, the one who leads the Scottish Cabbage Party? Gosh, he made it. What would he be doing if he wasn't an MSP? The mind boggles. Nice to see Frankie. And hello to you, Gareth and John. Great. Well, Alex Salmond was due to appear today in front of the Scottish Parliamentary Committee to lay down what had happened to him in regard to the carry-on that's going on there. Do you know, it's like when thieves fall out. This is all it really is. When thieves fall out. So we're not taking any side. I mean, they're both as bad as each other, and we would like to see the back of them forevermore. So we're not taking sides, but it does amuse us that these thieves are falling out. And of course, if they can fall out so badly that they bring each other down, then that's really what we're looking at, the best case scenario happening here. All right, McGregor, good to see you, and Darren from sunny Manchester. Seems to be sun all round today, and this is wonderful. Ernesto from Argentina. Great stuff. Great stuff. I hope it's nice in Argentina these days. Never been there, and but I hear good things about it. That's wonderful. Glad to see you all the way there from South America, Ernesto. Derek asks, hope you're well. Hope you're well too, Derek. Hope you're well too. The salmon thing is all too confusing now. Will Sturgeon not get caught out for lying? Here's the thing. Yeah, she's got an awful lot of people running interference for her. Okay, you could say the entire Scottish media to an extent. None of them really want to put her head on the chopping block, lest they lose what got them to the position that they're in at the moment, whether that's money or favour, and that's just the situation that we're in. I think that you know, there's nothing that's hidden that won't be made manifest. So at the end of the day, it will all come out in the wash somehow. Whether it's going to be this week or not, I don't know. And what's going on in the Crown Office, asks Christopher. That's right. The SNP seem to have control over it. Yes, because the Lord Advocate is both the Chief Prosecutor and also an advisor to the Scottish administration as well. So he's got a complicated role where he almost has to play both sides. And it's strange that we've got into this ridiculous situation. You know, Neil Oliver wrote a fantastic article on Sunday the 21st there, and he really laid it down against the SNP, and I'll just read out some things. He said, Scotland is making me sick and it's not COVID to blame. And he started off by talking about how in the run-up to the 6th of May it's going to be essentially illegal for political parties to campaign because they can't go out really on the streets en masse, leafleting and knocking doors and so on. And that's bad enough because all that does is favour the ruling party that gets the most publicity through the mainstream media, which of course is the SNP. But he also went on and he really kind of laid it down. He says, every day Sturgeon stands at her podium and performs her greatest hits about how hard she and her team are working, how much she cares that she won't be answering that question now, and there is an audience somewhere holding its lighters aloft and singing along. For the rest of the population, it is a shaming spectacle. For many Scots, the SNP has made a fool of Scotland. The Scottish, he says government, we don't say that, we say administration's handling of the pandemic is the latest and most troubling provocation for those moved only to shudder and look away. Last week there was another potpourri of embarrassment for Scots who must look on, chins on chests, at the contribution made to Scotland's life and times by the SNP and their enablers within Holyrood and without. The dead horse that is education was being flogged again, poor beast. Flogged again, poor beast. A Scottish education was not very long ago something to crow about. More and more, despite the efforts of teachers whose fault it is not, it is now something better left undeclared. I can't summon the energy to go into the details of the bridge that has to close if it's icy. for fear of cars being wrecked by falling icebergs, or the debacle of unsafe hospitals, or the rusting hulks of ferries on the Clyde, or the tens of millions of taxpayers' money lost in the collapse of BIFAB, or the shameful litany of SNP MSPs associated with one scandal or another. And he goes on there and he concludes, it is still my country, but the state of it, after 14 years of SNP misrule, has me sick to my stomach. So well said, Neil, so well said, and thank goodness for voices like Neil. Thank goodness for voices like him who enable us to get those messages out there. Morwina, good to see you from Cornwall as usual, and Davy the Star of the County Down there. Ian, keep up the good work. Watching from Cambridgeshire, but my ancestors are from Cowdenbeath. And Richard wonders if she's got the Lord Advocate in her pocket. We don't know about that, but we do need to stay a united kingdom as we're stronger together. Be proud of your culture and country by all means, but stand together as one. Thanks for that, Sarah. Thanks for your thoughts there. And we are one country, and we do have one history that all blends together into a one nation history, and we always remember our history, and we always remember this day in British history. And some people will say, well, why do you always remember our British history? And it's because it puts things in context. You know, if you don't have an understanding of where you've come from, how do we know where we are going to be today? You know, and we are confident that the more people who understand the way all of our British history hangs together, and the more people who understand the interaction of our collective history, then the more people will understand the story of our coming together, the story of our cooperation through time. And the more they will understand how we have arrived at where we are and the value of where we are. So we always, as much as looking forward, we always look back as well. And we look back with pride also. Basically, I think Abraham Lincoln, to paraphrase Abraham Lincoln, you know, we tell these stories so that the mystic chords of memory may be stirred, to appreciate the things that bind us together, so that the better angels of our nature may be awakened. That's why we tell these stories. And the story that we're going to tell this morning is something that I'm interested in. And this quote from an article recently sums it up. Quote, all the best of yesteryear, all that is most enchanting about the geography of the British Isles is found in railway art. And the railway art that I'm speaking about is that of the first 60 years or so, 60, 70 years of the 20th century, when you would go to a station and there would be, you know, visit Skegness, visit the Wirral, visit Hull, or whatever, and there would be some beautiful watercolour of that area. And there was many artists who were employed by Great Northern Railway, by Great Western Railway, by London Midland, by North Eastern Railway, by London and North Eastern Railway, by British Rail, and by the Underground to paint these. And one of them that we remember today is Frank Mason, who died on this day, 24th of February in 1965. And he was, he did a style that many of them were doing, actually. It's called Light Impressionist, and it's watercolours. And I was just looking through a few of them yesterday, and I'll just bring up one to show you. I'm bringing up this one not because it's the best one, but because it is one that that's big enough to show on the on the screen here, and that's the style. You'll have seen that before, and that was simply just advertising Great Western Railways come to London, basically. But he did many more like that. And he did a lot about Scotland as well. There's one in Dunoon, one in Helensburgh, a few on the Highlands, but they weren't really big enough to show on the screen here. But we'll put up a post on that on our Facebook page. So he died today. That was Frank Henry Mason. And he was the School of Railway Art, which is very much an enchanting school that basically beautified the British Isles and made people want to travel throughout the British Isles as well, because travelling, the passport to unity is travel. You know, if you can travel throughout the British Isles, if you understand who your neighbours are, if you've been to Scotland, you've been to Cornwall, if you go across to Northern Ireland, if you holiday in Wales or whatever, you get a sense of us all in this together. So travel is something that we've always advocated, and the railways, the British railways, have always connected the British people, and they are themselves unifiers in that sense. They do add to the unity of the British Isles, just as motorways and bridges and things like that also do. So he served during World War II, and he also helped. He didn't originate dazzle camouflage on ships, but he helped with that. In a rather less romantic, more pedantic era, dominated by sometimes aloof social media, we yearn for yesteryear, and all the best of yesteryear is found in railway art. That's a quote from an article there in the Independent. And also on this day, an iconic moment in British fashion history. For it was on this day, the 24th of February in 1997, that a certain young woman went on stage at the Brit Awards in Earl's Court and thereby ensured her place in the pantheon of British fashion heroes. And who am I speaking about? I am speaking about no less than Geri Halliwell, who wore her iconic Union Jack dress at the Brit Awards in Earl's Court on this day, the 24th of February 1997. And I don't know if you could call that a dress or not, but it's an outfit anyway. And quite frankly, the world was never the same again. And I'm only sort of half joking, because that was 1997, and it was in September of that year that we had the Scottish and Welsh referendums. And us British patriots were looking about. You know, we needed inspiration, and who should provide it but the great Ginger Spice? So that was on this day, 24th of Feb, at the Brit Awards in Earl's Court. And folks, I hope you were paying attention there, because the competition at the top of the hour will be based upon what I just said in the last 5 minutes there. Good. So let's just have a quick blast at the comments. Richard says, beautiful works of art that transfigure reality. That's a good way of putting it. Transfigure reality. I like that. Transfigure reality. Morag says, hiya peeps. Hiya to you, Morag. Hope you're well. And Ryan makes a good point here. He goes, we need a UK-wide referendum on the abolition of legislative devolution. It is imperative for the preservation of the kingdom. I agree. I agree that the rest of the UK should be involved in this, Ryan. Whether it's a UK-wide referendum or what, don't know. But the rest of the UK is involved. We always say this. If you're British, you are involved. And the SNP don't want you to know that, and they don't want you to even think that, because they have this idea, and we've said this before, they have this idea that it's only the people in Scotland who should determine the future of Scotland, which is not actually correct within the context of a United Kingdom, because within the context of the United Kingdom, the Scots are not the only people who are involved here. Everybody else in our United Kingdom is involved. Everybody else has a stake, so they have to be involved in some way. So when people say, oh, if Sturgeon and the SNP and the Scottish Cabbage Party together were able to get a majority of seats, then that should be enough. That's a mandate for a second referendum. No, it's not a mandate for a second referendum, because the Scots are not the only people involved. Holyrood is not the appropriate place to seek a mandate for a second referendum on the future of the Union. Okay? It's not about whether Scots have got a democratic right to this or that. Nobody's disputing the democratic right of Scots to vote at elections. The question is Holyrood the place to deliver a mandate to break up the United Kingdom? And the answer is no, it's not. The British Parliament is the place where that sort of thing has to be decided. And it's not Holyrood, because Holyrood is a devolved arm of the British Parliament, and a devolved arm of the body cannot choose to cut itself off from the rest of the body. It is the body itself that has to have sovereignty over that decision. That is to say, it is the British Parliament which has sovereignty over what way the United Kingdom goes. And the Holyrood is nowhere near being able to be that authority. Good to see Brian watching from Devon. Scotsman proud to be British. Join the club. Join the club. I served in the British Army. Good for you. With the Highland Light Infantry. My wife is English and our eldest daughter Christine was born in England. Sounds like you're 100% British, your family then, Brian. Good to see. Our other kids were born in Scotland. My great-grandparents were from Ireland. Absolutely. So we're British through and through. Absolutely. And you can also, as you say, still be very proud to be Scots. Very proud to be Scots. Scots and British. That's the wonderful thing about the British identity, is it is, to use the trendy phrase, inclusive of a wider and other identities. Here's George, what's he saying? Hi Alice, you sound a good man, thank you, and say all the right things, thank you, but you need more fire in your gut. Stand up and shout, stamp your feet and sound as if you are an evangelist. Make the Scots turn around when they hear you screaming for our heart of a post. Come on now, burst out your quiet shell. Everything you say is good, but stamp your feet and make people listen. I'll do my very best. I don't want to stamp my feet during this programme, because it would just knock over the microphone here. But you do want to come out with us on our thin red line when we are on the streets. And believe me, we do shout and stamp our feet and do other things as well. And that's when it gets a bit noisy and rowdy. Talking about that, all under one banner, which is the marching wing of the Scottish National Party. They have cancelled their next 6 marches, which is a little bit unfortunate, because we were looking forward to having a stamp in our feet and getting rowdy in a controlled way this summer. However, they've cancelled them and they're replacing their marches with static events. Now, they're going to have a static event on the 1st of May in Glasgow, and we will be there. We will have our equal and opposite static event. More information about that as it comes forth. But we will be getting out on the streets, and we will be meeting the marching wing of the Scottish National Party, and we will be making our case to them as much as we possibly can. And also, yeah. Sarah says that she's English, British and proud, and she knows her history well and served my country for 12 years. Good for you. Good for you, Sarah. Where was what? In what capacity was that? Was that in the Army or the Navy or the Air Force? Alan, the whole of Scotland must tactically vote to get rid of the SNP. And Jeff, greetings from Cornwall. Surely the people in Scotland will finally question the SNP for what it is and send them a resounding answer in the May elections. Well, do you know what? We can only hope that they will. But, you know, the media is powerful. The media is powerful. And if the only thing people are seeing is Nicola Sturgeon, then for many people who don't have access to alternative information, then it can sometimes be difficult, you know. But let's hope that you're absolutely right, Jeff, because we're all dependent upon it. We really are. Okay, so I've remembered this week, because I forgot last week, that we do have our competition question, and the competition question will be coming up right now, and it is for a new prize. It is for this little box of mints by Stewarts of Scotland, and they have this lovely little box of quality mints, and that will get sent. That will get sent to the first person who answers this question and who sends the answer, not in the comments, please, but who sends the answer to our email address, which is contact@aforceforgood.uk. Okay? And the question is, on this day, 24th of February 1997, Jerry Halliwell wore her famous Union Jack vest, as has been pointed out to me there in the comments. What was the ceremony she was at, and what building was it held in? Okay? What was the ceremony and what building was it held in that Jerry Halliwell wore her Union Jack vest, which changed British fashion forevermore? And that will go to the first person, and we'll mention that at the bottom of the hour. And just bear with me now, because we're going to bring in a guest in a couple of minutes, and that's going to be Pauline from the Highlands, who is a wonderful activist and a really good supporter of A Force for Good. And I almost forgot to send Pauline the link there, but because I've got so much on my mind when I'm doing all of this. But we'll bring Pauline in a minute at the top of the hour for a 20-minute interview. Iberts Park, morning from Bangor, Northern Ireland. TC says, A Force for Good and Unity News Network both showing up the failings of the SNP. Mark, good morning to you. Rory says, absolutely scandalous that the SNP have politicised the civil service, media and police. Yep. Asifa, morning, Alistair. I'm a second-generation Brit born in Bolton and have lived in Glasgow since I was 2. I'm a proud Brit and I'm not afraid to say it. Good for you, Asifa. Good for you. Okay. Okay, it's 11 o'clock, and I see that our guest, Pauline, is in the waiting room, and so I'm going to just bring Pauline in just now, and just waiting for her to give us a thumbs up here that she's ready to go, and I'll just give that 30 seconds while she gets everything correct there. Okay, I'm bringing Pauline in right now. All right, Pauline.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you there. How are you this fine morning? What's the weather like up in the Highlands?
Up in the Highlands, it's a lovely sunny day. Can't wait to get out in the garden, to be honest. But it's really good to see the sunshine because it fills us with enthusiasm and positivity. So that's a good thing.
Well, exactly. Isn't that so true? Because as I was mentioning earlier in the programme, things in Scotland at the minute are kind of crazy. They always are, of course, and they probably always have been for hundreds of years. But it's just that we find out about them now because we've got access to the media and social media and so on. But I just want to read something that was on your site, and because you write a lot on social media,
Yes, I do.
and especially on Facebook, and every day. And I want you to justify, as it were, what you meant when you said this. Scotland is very sick. No electioneering for us, just Sturgeon's daily one-sided brainwashing. And you concluded, you wrote considerably there, and you said Sturgeon the dictator will dominate our screens, our lives, and Scotland until every last one of us forgets how good life was and how healthy and happy we were in Scotland before nationalism took a stranglehold. I mean, that's powerful words, and you obviously feel them very deeply. How have you come to that conclusion?
Well, it's just that, democracy is all but lost in Scotland now. And we see that every day in all sorts of situations. It's actually beyond belief that the British Broadcasting Corporation have facilitated Sturgeon's complete takeover of politics in Scotland by having her briefings, her daily briefings. She's penetrated everybody's home. And, we are fortunate because we use Facebook, we use the media, but there's an awful lot of people out there that aren't media savvy, and they watch television, and all they see is her every day spouting her brand of truth, which really it's not. And it's just, Scotland seems to be now caught up in a never-ending circle of SNP dogma. We have no proper voices. Nobody's really saying, but why did you say that? Nobody's really taking her to account. And we just have to sit back and watch. It's absolutely terrible that, she uses this COVID pandemic as a political platform, and she continues to do that. Somebody called it her clinging to the COVID life raft, and that's exactly what it is for her. She doesn't want to let it go. Hence, today we hear the delay in the Scottish schools returning. I mean, I believe that they could be 6 weeks now behind the English schools going back because she's delaying everything, because we have the Scottish election, she's controlling everything. And I just really feel very strongly that democracy really is being taken from us, and not slowly, but very, very quickly. I just can't believe what's happening. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
Oh, absolutely. Do you know, it's the 26th of April where they're going to move us into level 3. And that means you can get a haircut, right? That's still 2 months away before you can get a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they talk about things like, oh, that's not essential. Well, for many people, looking good, going to the salon for women, especially once a week or whatever, that's what helps to keep their mental you balance, getting your hair cut so one doesn't look like a tramp or whatever. I mean, that's all important. And
it's
that's
all
like
important.
2 months away.
It is. But it's all about control, don't you think, Alistair? It's all about control. So if she can control you not getting your hair cut, then she has the power. It's all about control. It's almost as if, and it can be quite an unpopular thing to say, but it's almost as if this pandemic has given Nicola Sturgeon the power she always craved. And this is what we're actually seeing now. And no wonder she's dragging her heels about releasing us from that hold. But, I would say that let's make it clear that if we're out of lockdown, whenever that is, and it'll have to happen, then her appearances on television have to cease, because then they are no longer reasonable to have that. So, but it'll be interesting, because she's now set a pattern now. I can't see her relinquishing that control, and thereby we are all controlled, right down to getting our hair cut. Just terrible. Just absolutely terrible.
Yes, because note the date, the 26th of April. Now that is 10 days before the election. So in other words, she's going to make the case that she's got the right to be on the telly with her programme right up until the 26th of April. And then she'll have a lot to say in such a way that she'll extend it after the election as well. So she's going to be... I said this last year, and I kind of only half believed it myself back in March and April last year. I said, if she can keep this going until the election next year, she will. And lo and behold, it's been proven to be the case.
It's even more sinister that by keeping it going, we only have a week before the Scottish election, whereas, by now the grassroots campaigns would all be having their leaflets printed. There'd be volunteers on the streets posting leaflets. I would be doing that. I've got people around me here in the Highlands that go to their own village and give out leaflets. And a leaflet is really important, again, for that group of people that don't have social media. But she has stymied all that. So she has removed part of our voice. Luckily, we still have other outlets, but that leafleting and those street stalls that we used to do, and we actually used to speak to people and engage with them, and sometimes make really good progress with people that were wavering, not knowing how to vote. That's all been taken from us. So she's playing a game. Again, she's controlling us. We don't have the freedom to promote our democracy as we want to. And that's the reason she's keeping it going, that she had absolutely no intention of releasing us properly until it was too late for us to electioneer. Absolutely.
Yes, that's right. And, somebody's saying here in the comments that Boris made a fundamental mistake in not taking a UK-wide approach to the pandemic. And that has given the SNP the biggest opportunity to grandstand and position themselves as central to national life. And that's so. Whatever one may think about the COVID situation, the fact that it was devolved and authority given has totally elevated people who shouldn't be elevated, as you say, penetrating our homes. Like that guy Drakeford in Wales, goodness me, poor people in Wales have to sit and watch that guy. I thought Sturgeon was bad, but he's like off the chain, that bloke. So, what an indignity as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not pro any politician or any political party, and I look at Boris and I think, comb your hair and don't be a slob. It's not. I don't like listening to him either. Everybody, all of these politicians are just promoting control, and here in Scotland it's particularly bad, of course, because she wants not just to control us, but to actually destroy the nation itself, to break up the United Kingdom. At least Boris wants to hold the United Kingdom together. At least that's his saving grace,
Yes, and the thing is as well, Alistair, is that, with Boris and the UK government, Boris won't be Prime Minister for 7 or 8 years. Boris is passing through, because we have a democratic United Kingdom government. If you don't like Boris, you're not going to have to live with him forever. But if you vote for Nicola Sturgeon's independence, then you will live with that forever. And it's time people woke up. It's not as if we're just voting to have somebody in power for a few years, and if we don't like them, we can kick them out. This Scottish election, as Nicola Sturgeon says, will be the lead up to Indy Ref 2. Now, if you vote for Nicola Sturgeon this time, and then she gets her Indy Ref 2, and people vote for that, there's no going back. We can say goodbye to Boris in a year's time, or less or more. But, independence, there's no choice with that. Once it's done, the door is closed and the reality kicks in. And people have to realise that what they do with their vote in May will have an influence on Indy Ref 2 if it happens, and the future of Scotland. So this Scottish election really is important. And Boris is pro-UK. Boris is a very clever man. He doesn't have the right charisma or the right attitude, but I believe he's a very clever man, and he has achieved a lot. But the UK government is truly democratic. The Scottish government is not, and that's where our problem lies.
Yes, that's certainly correct. That's correct. And as you say, if heaven forfend that such a thing happened and that there was a second referendum and that we lost it, but believe me, if that happened, then, and this must be made clear as well, the nationalists would be in power forever. Because what would then happen is they would be seen as the true church of Scotland, and everybody would be measured against them, and everybody would have to fall into line and get with the programme, and it wouldn't become a fight between are you for independence or against it. It would be, how much are you for the revolution? And that's what always happens after a revolution, is you're measured not by your opposition to it, but how much you go along with it. And that's what it was like in all these countries that where they've gained, where they've separated in some way. It's always that politics quickly changes into you've got to be for it, or, if you're not for it, you're very much out of the place, and you keep your head down and shut up, And
that division is in fact far worse than even the division we have now. That division is a very scary division. Yeah, it's not nice. What you see mostly in the third world countries. I mean, that is a really vile division. It's extremely worrying, and I can't really believe sometimes that what we're seeing happening in Scotland is really happening. I can't actually believe it's allowed to happen. And I actually can't believe that Westminster are not stepping in and taking more of an input and doing more. And everybody then, when I say that, goes, the Scotland Act means that they can't do this and they can't do that. But they can certainly do a lot more than they're doing now. And we really now need their input. We really do. And, Jacob Rees-Mogg stands up and he calls Mrs. Moan a lot, and he seems to be able to make some good points. Well, we need to hear a lot more of that, because goodness me, what's happening in our country at the moment is extremely worrying and extremely depressing, and we have to try and stay upbeat and just fight the good fight.
Yes. One of the problems with the central British government has always been that it's not like you and I and the people who watch this programme. They're not really, they don't understand what's at stake, and they've never properly been they've never really properly understood the union, to be frank with you. To the extent that some of them have understood it, some of them have maybe just understood it as a sort of English imperialism in the same way that the Scottish nationalists have understood it. They haven't really understood it from a real authentic British point of view, which is the way that we're coming from it. And so they tend to just think, just let these people up there just do their own thing. And they tended just to, what's the phrase, devolve and forget, when in fact they need to be central to everything that's going on, because this is a fight for Britain's future.
Absolutely.
And it's the Britain that we all know and love. And how long have you lived in Scotland, Pauline?
Well, I consider myself fortunate because I'm a child of the United Kingdom. I always say that's what I am. My father was a Londoner, a city gent. My mother was a nurse from the Isle of Skye. had my education in London until I was 18, with 6 weeks every summer on the Isle of Skye with my granny and my cousins. So I'm a real mix of it. And I think I'm really fortunate. I kept my English accent, and I'm very happy with that. Some people by now would be having a Highland lilt. I don't have that. I am who I am. I'm a British citizen, and I'm very proud of that. I see the best of Scotland, and I see the best of England, and the best of the United Kingdom, and it's worth keeping, and it's worth fighting for. And how the people in Scotland, with their friends and families in England, if they can vote SNP, they really need to look in the mirror and ask themselves what they're doing.
Well, that's right, isn't it? That's right. I mean, the great thing about our very small islands is that we can all be British. That's why we always like to talk about, the government will talk about our family of nations, but we prefer the fact that we're actually a nation of families, quite literally. Turn that around. We're one nation of families, and many of us have close friends and parents and siblings and brothers and sisters and children living in all other parts of the United Kingdom, and as such we're all really just one. We should just be one big happy family, and that's the correct way of seeing it, and that's a politically very attractive way of seeing it as well.
We used to be like that not long ago.
Yeah,
The English people that I worked with in London for the short time I was there, they loved the Scots, Okay, you were a Jock or a Jean or whatever you were, but they loved the Scots. And the Scottish people were really, in the 60s, 70s, very welcoming to the English people. And at that stage, the SNP were a little radical group on the sideline, and nobody really took them seriously. But the minute the SNP got power, that's when the goodwill changed. That's when, instead of friendship, we had an nasty anti-UK thread going through everything. And it's really sad, apart from anything else.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I was at school in the late 70s and mid-80s, and the SNP were around, but they were looked on as just, that's those people who are all into, they were kind of just thought as a bit cranky, and nobody thought, but you thought, gosh, if they actually got power, things would be awkward, because these guys are a bit nutty,
Oh, they're nutty.
Me as a young boy, realising that these people better not ever get any significant power or we're all doomed. And unfortunately, politics moved in such a way that, well, look at where we are today, and they've got the power, and look what they've been doing, and look at the wonderful place that they're in as far as they're concerned. Locked down Scotland, telling us all what to do.
Captured audience.
Captured audience. In the run-up to another election, and they're sitting quite pretty, so it's up to all of us to try to make sure that they don't, and we'll just have to see. But there are options out there at this election, and everybody needs to get out to vote, because one of the things that we suffer from as unionists is there's a large amount of apathy among many people.
Yes.
To the point where some of them will turn up to vote and they'll find that they're not even on the electoral register. I've heard stories like that before. So make sure you're on the electoral register. And if you've got brothers or children or people that you think may not be on the electoral register and are our way of thinking, then make sure they get on the electoral register. Make sure that they're on there. Help them to get on there, because they're not really thinking about it.
It really is the only way we're going to get out of this. People have got to vote cleverly. They've got to make their vote work, or their two votes work. They've really got to vote cleverly. And they've got to do more than that, because that's not enough. They've got to tell their friends and family. And they've got to spread the word. And they've got to speak out, because more and more people who would always have kept their political opinions to themselves are now speaking out. It used to be bad manners to speak about your politics in public. Now we have to speak out about our politics in public. public. Now we have to spread the news. We have to highlight so much that is now wrong in Scotland. So everybody has to speak out. And let's not forget that, the Unionists are the majority. It's the fact that our vote has been split that's been the problem. So we are the majority, so we need to have confidence in ourselves, and we need to push that forward. And sitting back and saying nothing, it's just not good enough now, It's just not good enough.
100%. And that's a good place to end, Pauline. 20 minutes went very quickly there, and we must have you back on again. Thank you so much for being our guest today, and thank you for all the work that you do as well. Every day you're on Facebook and you're putting out good ideas, and thank you.
And thank you, Alistair. Well. You're the king amongst people that do the work, so I think we all appreciate you. So let's keep it going, eh?
Absolutely. Let's do that together. Okay, Pauline.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye. Bye now. Bye.
Bye.
Fantastic. That's Pauline from the Highlands, and she is one of the great Unionists. Christopher here says, the lesson from all of this is that absurd and wicked ideas can take root if the circumstances are right, and that people are easily led. Unfortunately, that seems to be the case. McGregor says, thank you, Pauline. God bless you. And Richard says, you're a British heroine, Pauline. Absolutely. And that's the great thing, as we always say about Britishness, is that it doesn't matter where you're from here. You can move all around our islands and it is still your country. If you believe, as we do, that we are all one nation. And of course, the Scottish nationalists don't want you to believe that. They want to see the British Isles split into 4 different squabbling nations. Tommy says, thank you, Alistair and Pauline. And Linda says, Pauline, you spoke so much sense. McGregor says, good to see Linda here. Linda's here every week, and we're very grateful for that. Derek says, look at who's the strongest in your region and vote for them. As yeah. Okay, now we had a competition. We had a competition. We had a competition for this, and you know what? Nobody's got the right answer yet. Nobody's got the right answer, so this may not be going out. We're going to mention it again. The question was, what was the award ceremony and where was it held? Today, on the 24th of February 1997, when Jerry Spice wore her Union Jack dress. Okay? What were the awards called and where was it held? Alright? Easy question. Fire that into contact@aforceforgood.uk. And if you've got the right answer, these mints with this lovely Spitfire emblazoned tin will be winging its way to you. That's really good, that. Good. Also, I want to just give a shout out there to this document that we produced. Now, it's called Dissolving, Not Devolving, a Scotland Bill Briefing Alert, and it is a 20-page document which we produced back in November 2015. But I was reading it this week, and everything in here is still relevant to the matter of too much devolution and how it only plays into the hands of the Scottish nationalists. And it's for sale in our shop with our other document called Devo Danger, a Force for Good publication. And that says Our House, which was a musical, a medley, a musical of Madness songs. Our House, It Must Be Love. And that's red, white and blue heart, which is relevant to what we're just saying there about our nation of families. So if you want these, they're available in our shop, which is at forceforgood/shop-1. Good, because that's how we keep going, folks, is through merchandise. Now, please do, if you're on Twitter, please retweet this broadcast with a comment, and then we can then retweet that tweet of yours to over 26,000 people. So if you like what we're saying on Twitter, please retweet us with a quote, which will enable us to retweet you to 26,000 people. So if you've only got 50 or 60 followers, whatever, we can get you out to 26,000 people. So simply retweet us with a quote tweet, and we'll retweet that tweet to 26,000 people and hopefully get you a few followers at the same time. And please, on YouTube, smash that like button, as they say, and do subscribe to us by clicking the red subscribe button and the notifications, because that really helps. We're at 1,160 people or something like that, but we need to have tens of thousands of listeners if we're to really get this out. We need tens of thousands, folks. So please do get that. Please do subscribe to us, and on Facebook, please share us as well. Good. Yeah. Nelson thinks that the SNP is really a cult. Very possibly. It certainly has all those elements of it, doesn't it? Totally a cult. Yeah. Okay, folks. Now, do we have a winner? Is this going to be the first week where we don't have a winner? Well, we have one person who has got half the answer correct. It was at the Brit Awards, and so it's going to go to Christopher. But it was at Earl's Court. But you got half the question right, and you're the only person who was able to get it. So we will swing that one off to you, Christopher. Now, if you send us, please, your address. I don't know if we've got your address. Anyway, send it to us anyway. Send your address via that email link to us, and Christopher, we will get this lovely little tin, Spitfire tin, on the way to you for answering the question that it was at the Brit Awards that Jerry Halliwell wore her Union Jack dress. Or Union Jack vest. McGregor says, well done, Christopher. Good. Folks, it's been a good morning, and I thought our guest today, Pauline, was excellent, wasn't she? Just brilliant. And if you know anybody who would like to be a guest, please do suggest them to us. We've got Brian Gerrish coming up on the 10th of March, and that was suggested to us. Was it Linda, or one of you guys suggested Brian to us anyway, and he's happy to speak. That's on the 10th of March, and we'll be finding somebody for next week, which will be the 3rd of March. Sturgeon has managed to convince the Scots they will all be rich if they get independence and rejoin the EU. Yeah. Well, let's hope she hasn't convinced enough of them, and let us hope that they're on their way out. And Derek says, let's have Pauline on again for a longer chat. Yeah, so many of our people will be on again. And we've got one or two people contacting us as well. Linda asked for Carl. We spoke to Carl, and Carl is unable to do it. He wants to be on, but Wednesdays are not possible for him. But he does want to be on, and Carl does wish us the best, Linda. And because we did speak to him after that was suggested to us last week, and Carl is a great bloke, and he's on UNN, Unity News Network, but he can't make it on Wednesday mornings just for that various reasons. But if we were doing it on any other day, he may well be able to fit in. Okay, folks, it's been a blast. It's the end of the hour. Thank you to everybody who's commented. Thank you to everybody who has viewed. And congratulations to Christopher for winning the prize. And thank you to Pauline for coming on for a great wee chat for 20 minutes. And Christopher says thanks. Good. Enjoy your mints. And a special thank you to our guest Pauline, and well done to Christopher. Thanks for watching and taking part. Have a great day, folks, and stay safe, and all the best from AFFG. All the best, Alan. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. McGregor says, great show. Thank you. And God bless you too, McGregor. It just remains for me to say, God bless the United Kingdom, and God save the Queen.